Hey everyone, welcome to our afternoon session on the benefits of PTK programming. Looks like we've got 25 participants on the call, which is absolutely fantastic. We are the student engagement team, and I will just throw our cards on the table here at the start. We are lovers of learning. So if we get off on a little tangent about some interesting book or journal article or travel experience that we've had, you'll either have to forgive us or maybe love us even more, because we look at these sessions not as, like a formal, kind of thing that people need to take a quiz on later, but it's just touch points of engagement with advisors throughout the year. We learned, some new tricks as we all went through this past couple of years, where we learned about virtual engagement and where we really saw kind of that advisors were open to this sort of discussion. Being a Phi Theta Kappa advisor is one of the most exciting and rewarding and challenging and fun. It can be heartbreaking, all those things that you can do. I always say that, sometimes when I use the words to describe being a PTK advisor, they're kind of the same words I use about being a parent, right? Because it can be the most challenging thing, but also the most rewarding thing. And I think for most of our Phi Theta Kappa advisors, they find that if you really invest in our programs and if you really get to know us, this will be one of the parts of your professional life that you love the most, because ultimately you'll be able to have names in your head that you have changed their lives. Students that got into universities that they wouldn't have gotten into without you. Students who found a job they wouldn't have gotten without you. You'll get to come maybe in Columbus, Ohio in 2023 and see one of the students that you don't even know you're going to meet, but you're going to meet them in the next few months. And then you're going to nominate them for something. And then you're going to see them walk across the stage, honored as one of the top student leaders in the world. If you know me at all, you know that I am strongly biased towards the community college movement and the community colleges that we serve. I always say, and it's true, that our community college students perform better when they get to university than the students who started there. It's also true that now at least half of bachelor's degrees have some community college credit. So in many respects, the work that you do is fueling the engine of credentialing and higher education in this country. And in other countries as well that have that same model. So we're excited to be with you and really thrilled that we get to have this discussion. I won't belabor this too much, but I do just want to acknowledge some of the people that you'll hear from or see or possibly engage with. Our student engagement team. Just going as I can see folks. Oh, there's the screen. Fantastic. We've got Susan Edwards, our AVP for honors programs and undergraduate research. Jennifer Stanford, our AVP for program implementation. Ryan Martin, Chapter Outreach and Development Coordinator. Also Patty Van Adder, Chapter Outreach and Development Coordinator. All of us do different things, and you can engage with us all in different ways. But the person who I'm going to turn it over to now is our curriculum designer, Reagan Chastain, and she's a person who has very specific expertise in curriculum design and runs and leads our EDGE programs that thousands of students engage with a year. But Reagan is also broadly knowledgeable about all the things that we do in this department as a former chapter advisor and as someone who works closely with regional coordinators, international officers, chapter officers, and advisors and leaders. We on the student engagement team deeply believe in the work of PTK advisors, and we see our job as supporting you, celebrating you, championing you. And this relationship is not like a one time a year at our annual convention kind of thing. We believe we're partners with you in changing students' lives and in changing the world. So as you go through this afternoon of learning, please don't hesitate to throw your thoughts in the chat. Don't hesitate to, add us on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, LinkedIn, ways you want to connect with us. We're out there, we're supporting you, and we really love that being a part of PTK is kind of this all year celebration. And it's everything we do comes back to those two things that go into our mission: to celebrate the top student leaders in the country and then to help those student leaders grow as scholars and leaders. So we're happy you joined us today. If I seem overly pepped up, as I often do, it's because I have my coffee. I encourage you, if you need sparkling water, coffee, whatever it is that you're doing, we are a kind of snack and learn, caffeinate and learn scenario this afternoon. But I want to say thank you for taking the time to be with us. We appreciate y'all. And I'm going to now turn it over to our curriculum designer and all things PTK guru, Reagan Chastain. Thank you all for being here.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today, we will discuss the benefits students gain by participating in PTK programming. We believe that taking advantage of these opportunities can have value both inside and outside the classroom, as well as today and in the future. So just last year, the National Association of Colleges and Employers, updated their list of competencies for defining career readiness. And so, as you can see here on the screen, these topics include career and self-development, communication, critical thinking, equity and inclusion, leadership, professionalism, teamwork, and technology. So in this presentation, we are going to discuss how Phi Theta Kappa programming addresses these skills directly. So we're going to begin with just a brief overview of the EDGE curriculum. Each course was designed for a unique purpose. Our newest course, Healthcare EDGE, explores the soft skills needed for those majoring in a healthcare field. Competitive EDGE will help students strengthen soft skills needed for any profession. Students who are planning to transfer to a four-year institution should complete Transfer EDGE. Employment EDGE can help students successfully enter the workforce, and to develop research skills and prepare students to participate in the Honors in Action project, they should complete Research EDGE. The way the world works is constantly changing. These changes seem to be extremely dramatic in our current job market. Employers want employees who are motivated to seek out relevant learning opportunities, which just happens to be the purpose of our EDGE curriculum. It provides personal and professional development opportunities for our students. So by simply taking the initiative to complete any of the EDGE courses, students are displaying a willingness to participate in career and self-development. Several of the EDGE courses include the topic of communication. As we know, communication is important in all aspects of life. The competitive EDGE course provides a general overview of this topic. Specifically, the Connect module includes oral, nonverbal, written, visual, social media, and workplace communication. This module also includes an entire section devoted to body language and active listening. Students who are preparing to give speeches might also be interested in the sections on making great presentations and overcoming speech anxiety. We know that these skills are not only relevant in academia, but they're also competencies needed in many professions. In the healthcare field, communication is vital to the well-being of the patient. Healthcare practitioners must communicate effectively with their patients and with the patient's families. To ensure that patients are getting the best care possible, it is also important to communicate well with colleagues and supervisors, which is why we've included sections in the Healthcare EDGE that directly relate to these topics. The communication components in the Employment EDGE course are, of course, centered around getting a job. So we provided content on networking, creating an elevator pitch, interviewing skills, and what you should include in a thank you note after your interview, just to name a few. In Transfer EDGE, Students will learn to communicate with admissions officers. Often these admissions officers are important in the process of students entering these four-year institutions, and sometimes they even have a hand at determining who gets scholarships. So every communication with these admissions officers should be thoroughly examined, and students should be very careful about how they're communicating with these professionals at these institutions. Additionally, they will receive essay, resume, and scholarship tips in this particular course. As you can see, our courses address both verbal and nonverbal communication from several different angles. Students can develop their decision-making and problem-solving skills in the Think module of Competitive Edge. The course not only covers critical, analytical, and creative thinking, but it also covers critical reading and decisiveness. All of these topics will help students to develop their critical thinking skills, which is one of the necessary career competencies mentioned earlier. Every module in the Competitive Edge course includes a Diversity Matters topic. Students are taught to keep an open mind to diverse ideas and ways of thinking, and to advocate for inclusion and equity. We know these skills will be critical for students to develop relationships in a work environment. The Competitive Edge and healthcare courses also address the career competencies of professionalism. Employers expect employees to act with integrity, to be present and prepared. Additionally, professionals need to prioritize and complete tasks on time. These topics are covered, as well as many more, in the Grow and Perform modules of the Competitive Edge course. The ability to work collaboratively is an essential part of career readiness. Students will learn how to manage conflict, compromise, and build positive working relationships in the Competitive Edge course. Leaders should be self-aware and capable of both giving and receiving feedback effectively. I will now turn this over to Susan Edwards, who is going to discuss the Leadership Development Studies course, as well as the Honors in Action and College Project. And we know that these courses are preparing our students for success, both personally and professionally.
Thank you so much, Reagan. And in addition to the EDGES, we have our Leadership Development Studies curriculum. It's humanities-based, but it's for everybody. And so when I say it's humanities-based, I'll talk a little bit about that. But there are lots of ways for students and members and chapter advisors to develop personal and professional characteristics and hone their skills and achieve their goals. Everything from developing a personal leadership philosophy to looking at leading by serving, ethical leadership, articulating a vision, leading with goals, realizing change, empowering others. We just have a full curriculum that looks at leadership from lots of different angles. And when I mentioned that it's humanities-based, we actually look at writings and TED Talks and letters from people as they're discussing their lives and they're discussing their roles in the world. So for example, we have letters by Sarah and Angelina Grimke from South Carolina, who are fascinating women, and their correspondence with Theodore Weld, who was Angelina Grimke's husband. We have their farewell letters from John Lewis and from John McCain, which are really extraordinary documents, and there are lots of leadership lessons to be learned from that. We also have Amy Cuddy. I think Reagan mentioned, that stance and learning to put yourself out there and just and and own your leadership, even physically doing that. We have Susan Cain, who writes and talks about the power of introverts. And we even have Shonda Rhimes, who really talks to students about saying yes to things that put us out of our comfort zone. And all of that is in just the first unit about developing a personal leadership philosophy. So there's so much, much more. And for those of you who are chapter advisors, we also certify chapter advisors who go through our certification session to teach the curriculum, either for credit or non-credit, or to do workshops. And we do have a leadership session, certification session coming up July 11th through 13th. It's going to be virtual. We've done that for the past couple of years and it's worked really well. The registration is $500 and registration will be up in the coming week. So if you are really interested in the curriculum and you'd like a great professional development opportunity and you'd love to teach the curriculum, we'd love to see you at the Leadership Development Studies certification session this summer. So in addition to the leadership curriculum, and the next slide, and can I move those forward, Reagan? I don't think I can. There we go. Thank you. We also have a lot of speakers who we bring in who are renowned speakers. This particular speaker, Heather McGowan, was part of our PTK Catalyst 2021. So many of you may have been able to see her. She was incredible. And with Chris Shipley, she had written the book, The Adaptation Advantage. And if you're looking at the future of work, this is a really interesting, it's an interesting book. There's an interesting TED Talk, I believe, on this. And of course, we had her as one of our speakers. And she really talks about how we all have to learn things and learn how to do our jobs. And then we have to unlearn because the world is changing so fast, or maybe we develop some habits that aren't so good in working there. But we have to have that ability to have self-awareness and know that. And then we have to adapt to changes. And she and Chris Shipley talk about the fact that the workforce changes so rapidly now that most of us don't go into one job when we graduate from college and then stay there our entire careers and retire from that job. And that's one of the reasons we need to learn and unlearn and adapt. And then she also, they talk about the fact that we have to also embrace failure and ambiguity and vulnerability, which can be really difficult to do. And those can be learned behaviors. How can you learn from failure? How can you be okay when something's not absolutely clear and the way forward's not clear? And then how can you allow yourself to be vulnerable and strong at the same time? So that's an example of a really wonderful leader and speaker who is part of the Phi Theta Kappa journey. And we do that routinely. We are now working on Honors Institute, a virtual Honors Institute set of speakers. So we're gonna have more out there and lots of people to learn from in terms of gaining leadership skills and the skills that employers want. And then Reagan mentioned Honors in Action and the College Project, and we're really, really proud of these opportunities for students. These are team projects, and we count a team as 2 or more people. We can have small groups who can do these projects and really gain from them. But the Honors in Action project is all about our biennial honors study topic, and you see the cover of the honors program guide there. Our topic right now is the art and science of play. We're very excited about that, and we've had lots of really positive feedback as students and advisors are preparing to look into that topic. But Honors in Action starts with research into the honors study topic, their academic investigation, and moves through project planning and setting goals and looking at collaborators, and then determining an action from research conclusions, and then reflecting upon the impact of the project and how things are going. And that's really exciting as well, because all of those things encompass the social skills and the leadership skills and the soft skills and the reflection pieces, the writing that employers are looking for. And same thing with the college project. It's a team project, working with administrators, either developing a relationship or honing that relationship. What a great skill for students to really gain as they're working on these projects, the ability to know who the administrators are, how to talk with them, how to communicate and collaborate with them. Again, social leadership, soft skills and writing skills that they can take away from these team projects. And we're really excited about that. And I know that coming up next, are we going back to Reagan or going to Patty?
Yeah, going to me.
Hey, Patty.
Thank you, Susan. I'm really glad that we talked about college project and honors in action first, because I think everybody knows that both of those projects are the big parts of the 5-star chapter plan. And I know some of you that are with us today are new and might just be learning about the 5-star chapter plan. And we call that our roadmap to success, right? For chapters, it's that one item that you can pick up and get started, right? Because it's all pretty much laid out for you. But I remember students, when I was an advisor, I would unfold the poster and hang it in our group area, and they would go, look at all those check marks we have to do. And I would say to them, no, this is not just a checklist, right? It's more than a checklist. Because when we participate in these activities of the 5-star plan, not only are you able to learn more about workplace skills, you can practice them well, right? And Susan talked a little bit about, having those communication with administrators and building relationships. And that's all part of that. And we do that in the workforce too. So as you go through the different levels of the 5-star plan, students will be able to put those skills into practice. Things like, setting goals, right? Making sure that we're not setting too big a goals, but we're definitely reaching for the stars within the plan. Learning how to be organized, right? The 5-star plan is, very organized in the way that it is, and what each level's purpose is, right? Whether it's the increasing membership or, building relationships with the college or engaging with the region, being organized through using that plan is definitely something that all workplaces want us to be organized in our work as well. Communication, right? You have to talk to one another, and getting through the 5-star plan requires talking to and with each other as far as the team is concerned, and the advisors working as a team. I know a lot of students will go to class, and when they hear it's a group project, they run for the hills. I can't work in a group, right? But this helps them address, and work out those differences and come up to something that everybody can work towards. And then accountability, right? It's not just totally on the chapter officer teams, right? There's committee leadership and things like that, and wanting to meet those goals and setting them and being accountable for them, right? Being able to say to the college president, we had maintained our 5-star status, this year. And so definitely the 5-star chapter plan is that plan where we say all the time, plan your work by working the plan. And with that comes the workplace skills that every student will take into the workforce with them. Next slide. And then there's some other opportunities for students to engage in programming, that those skills from the 5-star plan and all of the others can come into it. The honors case study challenge, that's an outstanding little, I like to call it a warm up to honors in action, really. It can be done individually by a person or by a chapter, where they're doing a little bit of research and checking out some news clippings and answering questions. And it's just like that mini honors in action. Definitely, a sense of teamwork and accountability and group work with that. Recruitment campaigns, right, is another way. When you bring students together and they're just fresh from their induction, and you can talk to them about, this year we want to induct even more students. How do we address that? So building those teams. Running for office, definitely leadership, right? Whether it's on the chapter, regional, or international level. And I know probably right now, a lot of you are getting ready to send your new leadership teams off to start chapter meetings. How do they do those chapter meetings? And it's another way that they can look at the activity guide for chapter leaders and look at the different ways that they can create agendas and bring that all. And those types of meetings that are held at chapters are almost similar to meetings, of course, that are held in the workplace. And so it gives them that opportunity to fine tune those skills. Preparing and giving presentations, right? I love it when, you know, Reagan talked about competitive edge and, you know, using that to being able to, you know, improve those skills on getting ready to do a presentation, whether it's in front of the college or the chapter or things of that nature. And then the other one is travel, right? The benefits of Phi Theta Kappa programming also give every student the opportunity to travel, to experience new places, whether it's, you know, Catalyst or regionally or just within their own state. And so plenty of opportunities for students to gain many of their benefits, achieve their benefits through Phi Theta Kappa programming. So I think we're going to go back to Reagan. Yeah.
So just to kind of summarize what we've talked about here. So you can see as each person was kind of talking through how the Phi Theta Kappa programming connects back to those competencies that were mentioned at the very beginning. And as Susan was talking about the book by Heather and Chris, I was thinking about, you know, the vulnerability and adaptability. Anyone who has ever completed a college project or an honors in action project know that those are key components. Being vulnerable, being able to adapt, being able to adjust, learn and relearn things. All of those are so vital in completing a college project and an honors and action project. So we feel like that the curriculum that has been built is definitely you know, helping prepare our students for life in general, and specifically also those directed at those workforce competencies that we mentioned earlier. And I love what Penny said in the chat, that after completing competitive edge, she started paying more attention to our email messages. I had a bad habit of also starting mid-thought in my email messages. It's as if I lost the greeting completely. And so I think even for advisors and myself, as I was building some of these courses and looking at the content, I think this content is not just for students. It is for advisors. It is for you know, our alumni who've moved on. I think there's something in each course that really can help us polish ourselves and be more professional in the workplace and just in the community. So I would love if any of you have questions specifically about the edges or college project, honors in action. We've got plenty of time. We've got the experts are here, meaning Susan, Edwards, and Jennifer. And so if you have any questions, I'm also going to put up a few references. I'll go ahead and put that slide up. So if any of you would like to throw something in the chat, a question or unmute, we would be happy to address any questions you might have.
Does anybody have a best practice on engaging your chapter in any of the edges? Is there any way that you lead them to that? Do you have an organized event on your campus or anything like that you'd like to share?
We usually get, you know, I will reserve a computer room and we'll send out a message that says, hey, come on and let's work on the edges. And a lot of times working together, you know, it's a team thing. And, you know, they get a lot more out of it because even if they're working individually on their computers, they're still talking to each other and sharing and sharing their experiences and really great conversation comes of it and some good ideas sometimes because I always try to put things in there about the honor study topic. And so that way, they get talking about that, and maybe we get some great ideas as to where we want to go with, with our research.
Mhm.
But yeah, the whole idea about the email, I just couldn't believe that I was doing that. I just wasn't putting hello even, and just starting just in something like, what am I going to do about that? And then they'd say back, well, I don't know. Who is this? And, I wasn't even signing my name, but of course they could probably tell who I was by my email address. But, I've done both, or I've done the competitive edge, well, the advisor's edge as well, but competitive edge, research edge, and transfer edge. And this summer, I'm going to look at the other ones, the career and the healthcare. And just because I want to know what's in there so that I can help my students as well. And say, if you were to do this edge program, you might learn about, and let them, in on the big secrets, basically. I mean, these are things that other people know about that they don't know about, or I don't know about. And so, just to fill their heads, I guess. I did want to ask a question about the leadership. I've been certified and recertified, but I didn't know if they were going to do any more recertifications, or is it just the regular certifications now? And I forget what they used to call that when we had a recertification. There was a name for it, and it's a while ago.
Okay. Well, I can take that one. We actually, over the past couple of years, have had a lot of new people who have not been certified before, but we've actually had 5 or 6 people I can think of off the top of my head who have recertified, have gone through the certification again. And so people are allowed to do that if they'd like to do that. It's the $500 charge, and that's actually lower than the recertification was before. So, and the really nice thing too is that people who have been through the curriculum and worked with it have some really great ideas when they come to the new parts of the curriculum, and they can add a lot to it. So yes, people who have been certified, you do not have to be recertified, but if you would like to be recertified, you are welcome in the session.
Awesome, thanks. I was reading, I know some advisors here are talking about, that they require their officers to at least complete competitive edge before running for office, which, we don't have that mandate written anywhere that anything's required, but I think that's a good way of doing it. I know I did it as a regional coordinator. I used to require regional officers to do it because they wouldn't be able to speak about it if they hadn't experienced themselves. And so research edge during the summer is definitely huge, and that's really great. And we require an edge course and completion of a section of LDS each semester. That's awesome, Todd. Thank you. And I know that some colleges are starting to offer credit for the edge courses, and so that's just phenomenal. Just the way that we want to go. Definitely. Any other ideas, or especially with any ideas with, have any of you used the leadership development for your officer teams, like in the summer for orientation or anything? That's another great way to use that program. And it's not, it doesn't seem, once they're in it, and I know anybody that's been through leadership certification, when it's just, you're in it and it's like exciting and it's fun and you're like, wow. And then when you get the students involved in it, it doesn't become so much of a task or just one other thing they have to do. They really do enjoy it, especially all the little activities that you can do with it. Awesome.
So one of the things that I did when I was an advisor, we had kind of our own, I think we initially called it 5-star plan for an individual student. And so there were levels just like the 5-star levels, similar to the 5-star levels that we have. And basically it was to get students to be more involved in chapter activities. And at each level, they had to complete one of the competitive edge modules. And then what happened was if they completed the entire the entire 5-star plan for individuals, then we would pay completely for their travel to regional and international convention. So we used it as kind of incentive. We didn't just pay for them to go, we couldn't afford to for everyone. So it was basically the more you put in, the more we paid. So if they only made it to like the 3rd level, then we paid like 50% of their travel cost. So that is one way that we encouraged students to participate in the EDGE courses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ryan, were you going to say something? I thought it looked like you were going to say something. No, you're good. All right.
No, I was agreeing.
You're agree. All right. Well, before we totally go, I want to just let everybody know this time, well, next week, next Wednesday on the 18th, we're going to have our next session with advisors and leaders. It will be an officer orientation. Like if you have not been able to, if this is your first time as an advisor and haven't done an orientation, or if you've done an orientation and you just want your chapter officers to learn some more, please have them join us next week. We will send up a follow-up email next week. The registration is open for that. It'll be a really good opportunity to learn more about being a chapter leader and all the benefits with that. And then also we wanted to say also for all of you that are here and we'll be listening to this later, starting June the 1st, we're going to start with the new advisor chapter development program. An email is going to go out to every advisor with under 2 years of service. We will invite you to another group of sessions. These sessions aren't going to go away. We're going to continue with these as we have been. We're just going to add another track for new advisors, and we will get down to the nitty-gritty of chapter operations and looking for things on the website, and how do you create that budget moving forward, and maybe planning that calendar. So be on the lookout for that, and anybody's welcome, but we just want you to know that we're going to be sending those emails out to advisors with under 2 years of service. And of course, we will be sending you out a link with the resources from today by Friday. And if there aren't any other questions.
I've got a question for you.
Sure.
I am an advisor in Nebraska, and I was wondering, you had mentioned if you had new officers that they could jump on for next week's meeting.
Yeah.
Do we need to register those officers, or is this played through our meeting?
So how we do it is the same link that it's just the one link, and I will put the link in the chat, and I will also follow up with you, Ruth, right?
Yes.
Okay, I will follow up with you via email. We ask that every individual officer or leader registers for it. So this way, if they are not on campus and they're going to be at their home, they can access the Zoom from their location. And then also we will follow up with them individually with an email with the recording to it. So
great, thank you.
I will follow up with you, Ruth, with that link. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. It might be a little bit, for the advisors on the call today, Ryan and I are still planning out the details. Next week's session might be a little longer because we are packing it full of things related to chapter operations that an officer should be aware of. And so, I definitely think it'll go at least an hour and a half next week, right, Ryan? I think that's what we were planning on. Yeah. So, but we look forward to it. We're excited. Okay. Anything else? No. The only other thing, one more thing, please set your 5-star goal, your 5-star goal. We were really impressed this past week. We were almost to the 100 mark, but we want to really get further into it. So if you haven't set your 5-star chapter goal, please do that. Just set it for 5. We're going to get you there. Just set it for 5. We're going to get you there. just do that as soon as possible. Starting June 1st, we're going to be working with the regions and going to get a little competitive with it and a little incentive. And we want as many chapters as possible to set a goal of 3 or higher this year. And we will get you to any one of those levels. Just need you to set the goal. We'll send you. Okay. I will send you the details. Yes, I will. All righty. Thank you, everyone. Have a great one.